Good morning, guys. Happy Tuesday, April 14th. I hope you guys had a good day yesterday as you're starting back to our digital learning week number 4. I hope you guys did well. I was watching some of your little commercials or infomercials. They were actually pretty funny, and I can tell you guys actually enjoyed doing it. So hopefully, probably not all of you did, but most of you seemed like you really enjoyed doing it. So I wanted to talk about some things. I'm going to change some things up today. So what was planned on our little sheet that was sent home to mom and dad, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to slow it down a little bit and move it in a little different direction today. And then we'll go back to the actual sheet tomorrow, which actually talks more about the robber barons. So first off, before we get too far down the road, I wanted to talk to you about this day in history, which is kind of a cool day. A couple interesting things, actually 3 interesting things that I have to share with you today. One of them would be in 1775, the first African American Society of Abolitionists was actually founded. And obviously we know what an abolitionist is, or you should know what an abolitionist is, and how it was very important, obviously, to the time period during the Civil War, obviously, or prior to the Civil War, but we did not really talk about it in 1775. There was actually another group of people in the North that were actually very interested in trying to slow down the idea of slavery. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about. The second thing, we actually just talked about this, and this guy here, this lovely man right here, this is, hopefully you know who that guy is, it's John Wilkes Booth. And in 1865, John Wilkes Booth, as you know, is going to walk into Ford's Theater in downtown Washington and shoot Abraham Lincoln. But what we really didn't talk a whole heck of a lot is that Booth actually had this whole elaborate plot that he was doing. And he actually had a lot more people into it. And I had mentioned to you when we talked about John Wilkes Booth and the assassination of my favorite president, Abraham Lincoln, I told you that there's a little bit more of a story behind it, and I kind of left you kind of hanging. And I was hoping that if we were in school at this time, we would be able to kind of talk about what actually it was that I was kind of dangling the carrot in front of your face to see if you guys would actually kind of bite at it. But John Wilkes Booth actually plotted before this to actually just kidnap Abraham Lincoln. Him and about 6 other people, they had this whole elaborate plan. They went to the area where they thought Abraham Lincoln was going to be, and they just basically hung out and they waited, and Abraham Lincoln never showed up. He just simply never showed up. So that kind of frustrated John Wilkes Booth and his followers. So he went into his next plan, and I had told you that he found out that Abraham Lincoln was going to go to a play that night, and the play was Our American Cousin. And Our American Cousin was a comedy. We talked all about the whole assassination, about how John Wilkes Booth was kind of nervous, walked up the staircase, wasn't quite sure what, just really nervous about the whole thing. And so he went, and his plan was basically threefold or trifold of activities that night. So John Wilkes Booth, his idea was he was going to go and assassinate the president. But he had 2 other guys that were working with him, and these 2 other guys had specific things that they were supposed to do as well. One, there was a guy by the name of James Atzerodt, and his idea was, or what his plan was, is he had to go and he had to attack or assassinate the vice president, and the vice president at that time was Andrew Johnson. And another guy was actually supposed to go, Lewis Powell was supposed to go and look at the Secretary of State, which was, his name was Seward. And he basically was supposed to assassinate him. And the idea behind that is if you assassinate those 3 people, 3 leading people in the United States government, that it would throw the United States government and the economy in a whole disarray. And it would really mess everything up in the idea of Reconstruction. But what actually happened is that we know that John Wilkes Booth actually went through his plan. He went through with his plan. He got remember I told you he was big. He was riding a horse. His stirrup actually got stuck in the American flag when he jumped, and he landed actually all of his weight on his leg. He broke his leg when he did that. And then he kind of drug himself down, fell down the stairs in the back of Ford's Theater, got on a horse, and tried to rode out to the countryside. But the other two guys didn't really follow through on the plan. Lewis Powell, which was the guy who was supposed to assassinate the Secretary of State, he actually went ahead and he did actually seriously wound him and 3 other people, but he didn't actually assassinate him. So he kind of failed at his plot. And the other guy, George Oswald, he basically just lost his nerve, and he just never showed up to basically assassinate the vice president. So he kind of totally chickened out. And the long story of this is they actually ended up meeting back together. And there's a whole conspiracy theory about all of this, and I wish you guys could spend some time, maybe when we have some extra time, look at the whole conspiracy theory about what happened after all of this. Abraham Lincoln was shot. It was about 10 o'clock at night. He was taken into the Peterson House, where he died early in the morning the next day. Remember, I showed you those pictures in class. And those pictures that I showed you in class, remember I told you that those people, the room that he was actually in wasn't that big. It was about 10 by 10. So it was about the size of your bedroom. And the painting shows that there's like 20 or 30 people in there. And that painting was totally not alive, but it kind of bent the truth a little bit. And the reason why it bent the truth a little bit is because all of those people could not fit in that small 10 by 10 room. So what the artist actually did is the artist took those pictures, or took a likeness of every single person that actually visited Abraham Lincoln on his deathbed, and basically painted them in a picture. So it looks like there's a large number of people around him when Abraham Lincoln passes away. But in fact, there wasn't actually a large number of people. There were just a few people in there with him when Abraham Lincoln passed away. And again, I really was hoping that I could get you guys when we were supposed to go to DC before all this craziness happened. I was really kind of geeked out about the whole Ford's Theater experience. It's one of my favorite things to see in DC, which may sound kind of weird, but it is kind of interesting, and it's kind of really neat to see history inside of a building that still lives on, and people still actually perform plays there. And then my last thing I wanted to share with you, and this actually could hit one of your classmates, and I'm not going to tell you who, but this young lady right here has a birthday today, and in 1935 she was born, and this is Miss Loretta Lynn. She's if you don't know who she is, she's a famous country singer. And the reason why I brought her up is not just because one of your classmates has a pretty close tie to this lovely lady, but the idea behind this is that she really paved the way for women in country music. Up to this point, before she entered the country music scene, it was an all-male scene. And again, I try to tell you ladies that, I'm sorry, but ladies really get the short change in the social studies or in the history that we actually look at for a long time in American history. And I thought this would be kind of interesting because this young lady right here that was born in 1935, Miss Loretta Lynn, is kind of a trailblazer for women in country music. So most of those, if you listen to country music, and I know some of you probably won't admit that you do, but some of you that do listen to country music, and if you're a young lady and you have aspirations to be a singer, this lady right here kind of proved and basically paved the way for all of this, for all the ladies in country music, and actually ladies in music in general. So pretty special day with those 3 things. I wanted to share with you the next items that the next item I'm going to have you guys take a look at, and that would be this PowerPoint right here. I'm going to upload for you, and it talks about the Gilded Age, which is what we were talking about, but this just focuses in on our state of South Carolina. And basically what I'm going to have you do is you're just going to scroll down, and I give you an option. I'm going to give you an option. You can either just take regular notes on this PowerPoint, or from this PowerPoint. There's really not, I didn't put any links in there and any hyperlinks. There is one video I think you can watch, which is actually right there. But basically it's just kind of notes. And if you want to take your actual notes, like kind of freehand, that's totally fine. But I also set this up for you right here, which are Gilded Age guided notes. So you'd have to make a copy of this. You'd have to go ahead and put it in GoodNotes, and then you could go ahead and write on the GoodNotes. And then maybe if you are still working on that lovely interactive notebook that I hope that you are, you could definitely go ahead and start filling some of those in. I had a question this morning from Lily Bradley, and she asked me if I could go through that packet of information that you all were assigned back on March 30th. I believe it was March 30th. Let me look at my handy dandy notebook here. Yeah, on March 30th, the Gilded Age notes. If I'm going to be able to go back through that with you, so that you can actually see what the answers actually are. And I told her I definitely will go back over that so that you guys have the notes that you need to be successful in any quiz or any test that we're going to have. Probably not until the middle end of next week I would have a quiz or a test on any of this stuff. So just take your time. I really enjoyed watching those videos yesterday, or today actually. I'm filming it at night, but today I enjoyed watching some of those videos. You guys did a really good job. Some of you, again, I miss that humor that we have in class, but it is what it is, and we're just kind of have to keep moving forward. And then today, like I told you, all I'm going to have you do is look at this slideshow, and then go through the slideshow, the actual slideshow, and just write a few notes. So, and we can talk more about it. I'll teach more of a lesson tomorrow on the actual robber barons. I'm going to walk you through the actual PowerPoint that I was going to use in class. And again, I hope you guys are having a good time. Hopefully you're washing your hands, you're coughing inside of your elbow pit. And hopefully we get a chance to see each other. Like I said yesterday, hopefully we get a chance to see each other before this is all over, because I hate to have you guys miss out on all that fun stuff we do in 8th grade at the end of the school year. Yes, we do fun stuff. Miss you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.